Hi guys. So one of the issue that came up a lot when I was talking with some of you in my DMs is that at times you feel too depressed, too sad to do the things you want to do, and to even pray. And I wanted to come up here and make this short video because I think it will benefit a lot of us who are struggling with this inability to do things because we feel too sad, too depressed. We're basically overwhelmed. So the way I see sadness and depression and the way a lot of you have described it to me is it's basically like a blanket that we just pull on top of us to protect us from whatever it is outside, from whatever it is that has hurt us. What do we do when we have a wound? We put a bandage. That's our comfort blanket, basically. And another analogy that I like to make is with that of a baby. When the babies are just pulling the blankets on top of their heads, and then they are expecting you to come and pull it down and just say peekaboo or say something funny, and they will laugh about it, and then they pull their blankets up, and then you find them again, and it's a backwards and forwards game. What happens to us in adulthood when we pull this metaphoric blanket is that no one's coming. Nobody is coming to find us. No one's coming to pull us out of that sadness that we're in. And because it's at times a spiritual sadness, not a physical sadness, not a physical issue, people don't really acknowledge it, you know? So then we give ourselves a hard time and we call ourselves lazy, we call ourselves unproductive, we call ourselves a lot of things, when in fact it's just our body wanting to be seen and to be validated. It's the pain that has accumulated throughout time and throughout years. And even if you look at an animal that's hurt or injured, or even us when we have a cold or when we are sick, we just want to sit in bed with a cover on top of us and relax and recharge our batteries. It's perfectly normal. When you have a sickness, when you are physically ill with something, you don't expect to run a marathon. You don't expect to get out of bed feeling great after surgery, but because it's mental health and because it is emotional pain, because it's more somatic, we add on top of that more words that are not meant to encourage us, and we don't show up with compassion. Okay. And I've been Muslim for more than a decade now, and alhamdulillah, I don't struggle with praying. It's basically praying is my crutch because I have a very hard time sticking to a routine. I constantly need to remind myself of things. I constantly need to write post-its for all the things that are important, and I'm not supposed to forget about them. If I don't write it down, if it's not right in front of me, I will forget about it. And I will just remember it when it's too late. And I've learned to live with it. I've learned to have strategies and mechanisms to help me out with my executive function, because it is what it is. If I give myself a hard time, if I blame myself, it's not going to go anywhere. However, if I show up with compassion and with understanding, I sit myself down and say, okay, we need to work on this. We need a strategy to address this problem. That's going to be more productive than blaming and shaming. However, it does take a lot of work to get to this point where you are sick and tired of blaming yourself every single time something goes wrong. And it is a lot of work that you need to do. And I'm happy I've done that work. I wish I could show up here and say, oh, you know what, if you want to pray on time, if you want to do it daily, I have a magic wand that I can just go abracadabra and everything's going to be fine. Unfortunately, it's not how it works. So if you are in that position where it's too hard and life is just at times unbearable, show up with compassion. Not all of us can invest in coaches, not all of us can invest in therapy. I understand that. I perfectly do understand it. Life is how it is. But the small steps will accumulate in time and you will see a difference. So be mindful of what you're telling to yourself when things don't go as you want them to go. And show up in your life with compassion and show up for yourself with that unconditional love you would like others to show you, because no one's coming, unfortunately, and you have to be the one showing yourself the love, the compassion, the understanding that you need. And again, I understand that's very hard. It can be triggering at times. It can feel like, a hurricane of emotions, and that's okay. Feel the feelings and still love yourself. We're not here to be perfect. We are here to know ourselves and discover ourselves and love ourselves more. The more you know something, the more you appreciate it and the more you understand it. So that's it for today. I just want to remind you guys to have compassion. And January is almost ending. I can't believe we are halfway through January. It really just passed super fast. I have a lot of things on my backlog. Sorry. But if this year was about showing up more for yourself, maybe having a more spiritual life, a more scheduled routine, and showing up in prayer more, that's great. That's super. I really hope you will not give up after a couple of failures, because that's not productive. And it is just the beginning of January. It's okay to fail as long as you get back, dust off, and start over. A lot of the times that's what is needed. I believe we're being sold this idea that you make a goal, you take that decision, and that's it. There's no going back. It has to happen every single time. It has to happen every single day. And if you failed once, then that's it. It's done. It's all over. All the effort you put it goes to waste. And it's really not the case. It really is not the case. All your efforts will go to waste if you decide to give up and never give it a second shot or a third shot or a fourth shot. The people who succeed are the ones who don't want to give up, no matter what, and no matter how much they fail, and no matter how many times they fail. It's always a learning curve. It's always something to discover about yourself. It's never a failure. So I will see you guys next time, and do expect me to be in your DMs this year. I want to get to know you guys better. Let me know in the comments, how is it going for you thus far? How is 2024 doing?